The boy wakes up in a strange, unknown place and can't figure out where he is. He glances around at the boxes, wondering if he's buried underground or stuck inside a taxi trunk. As he shifts, his finger brushes a spiderweb, sending a chill through him while the dark, narrow walls of his box make him wonder where he is. So with a pounding head and cold sweat, he takes a deep breath and tries to remember how last night ended up with him trapped here. The very first thing he remembers is standing alone in an empty parking lot. After pushing himself a bit harder, he remembers his name is Kim, that he's 30 years old, and that he works as an employee. Thinking harder, he realized he must have gotten drunk late at night and ended up in some strange place, even though drinking was never his thing and he usually headed straight to the dorm to do something more important. When he got home at night, he had to focus on something even more important. As soon as he got home, he tore open a can of energy drink to keep himself wide awake all night long. Then we found out he actually just wanted to play that online game all night long without stopping. He stayed in the same spot all night, chugging energy drinks and playing that game until he was totally hooked. But something feels wrong because it makes no sense to wake up in the middle of nowhere after sleeping safely in his own bed. So scared he wonders where he is and what is happening until he remembers having this same strange dream before. Suddenly the box the boy is trapped in starts to fall, hurting him a bit and scaring him even more. You can see footprints in the puddles as an unseen voice calls out to her, telling her to stop. When he hears that voice, the boy finally pieces it all together and realizes he's sitting inside a wooden carriage. But this is really odd since carriages aren't used in the high-tech world of 21st century Korea. The masked man peered at the carriage and asked how the piglet or the packages being carried inside were doing. With a wicked grin, he says he caught him because the boy was too obedient and believed everything he was told. As more masked faces emerge to whisper that the piglet looks like a father from the side, the main character listens from inside the carriage and realizes they are talking about him. The two men kept talking, with one praising his friend's work as excellent, then declaring it the glorious revenge of Sing Aolin, a line that shocked the protagonist because he recognized it. His famous line from the game he played last night, "World Forgotten by God," shocks the protagonist because it belongs to the main story and shouldn't be happening in real life. The story centers on the fall of the third prince, a moment that changes everything in the game. The boy starts to think this might be a joke because the words are exactly the same as what he said yesterday. Deep in the forest, a pair of quiet, fast footsteps creeps closer. From inside the box, the protagonist listens to everything, trying to make sense of what is happening. The man standing there is one of the crowd who took the boy, and once he reaches the carriage and lifts the coffin lid, he sees that the trapped person inside has the soft, chubby skin of a young boy. Free at last, the boy freezes in shock as he stares at a character from his favorite game breathing right in front of him. The skin belongs to Pig Prince, the third prince of the Magic Empire, a huge faction that dominates the world. In the game, the pig acted so babyish that it even fainted. Because of his personality, the protagonist liked this character, but his laziness made his very presence a problem. Because of his troublesome nature, everyone started calling him Paid Prince, and even made gold coins with that silly name on them. The prince lived a life of wild excess, stuffing his mouth and drowning his sorrows, which only brought him endless trouble and a horde of deadly enemies. Because of all the enemies chasing him, he was caught by the revolutionaries and would soon meet his end. At last, the hero pieces it all together and discovers that he is glowing within the game. Because he has acted out this scene so many times, the boy knows the words that will come next and can guess them before they happen, until finally, after all the talking, several hands grab the prince and pull him out of the box. As he hits the ground hard, he pleads to be let go, terrified that he might die. The old man with white hair points at the hero and shouts that, in the name of the Republic, he is going to heaven today. This is scary because everything is happening just like it did in the game. And the only reason for this character's existence in the tale is so his head can be chopped off and sent to his father, the Emperor. Unluckily, the hero has turned into a throwaway figure who only serves to be used up and tossed aside. Usually in anime, when two people swap bodies, it's totally different from this. MCist, the heroes always turned out to be either incredibly handsome or super powerful. In this dark moment, the blonde boy starts wondering who the main character is that reached the top level in the game. It's most likely he's talking about the hooded figure, who looks like the strongest person there right now. This person seems mighty and keeps acting strange, never showing his face at all. When the man gets closer, the chubby boy panics because he feels powerless and doesn't know what to do. The weathered man walks forward, sword in hand, ready to finish his job and tell the Emperor what happened. A sharp blade is held to his face, and the pig is asked what his last words will be. With barely any time to think, the only thing he can do is scream to stop it and beg to know how this all went wrong. Until yesterday, he was just a nobody who didn't matter to anyone. Now he's about to lose because he suddenly swapped bodies with a character who only exists to drink. Then something flashes in the boy's mind, and he suddenly shouts out that there is a dog. Laughing loudly, the huge man asks if the pig likes dogs, joking that being eaten by one would be the pig's last words. Desperate, the boy screams one last time to wait a moment, insisting he has something important to say. The old man, already fed up with all this wasted time, screams that there are no more seconds left for regret. As the sword slices through the air and heads straight for the boy with no chance to stop it, the sight is heartbreaking because since he was born, he never had anything and was always just someone to be used and thrown away. He was raised all alone in a lonely, sad world, with no mother or father to guide him. From the orphanage to the factory line where he was treated like a replaceable tool, he grew up as nothing more than a body collecting parts. Even after turning 30, he was still stuck selling supplies at the same conference store. His home was just a tiny dorm room with barely enough space to sleep comfortably. He wanted to study for the civil service exam, but he wasn't sure he'd pass since it was so tough and he barely had any time each day to get ready. The only bright spot in his life was a laptop that could run the game he was now trapped inside, where he had become so addicted to playing as a Maxwell character that he laughed and played every single day without ever stopping. Before he could swap bodies, a message popped up in his game asking if he was ready to begin a second life. The proposal piqued the boy's curiosity, leaving him itching to find out what it was all about. He began typing with his strange hidden finger because he couldn't wait to find out the truth. He sent a message saying he was ready to begin his second life. And before long, someone replied with interest. The man warned the boy that starting a second life wouldn't be easy, so he asked if he was really sure. The MC's reply made him wonder since he was just kidding, but the other person clearly wasn't. But a thought struck him that their friend must be struggling too, so he said they'd give it their all together. The dog god nodded, saying your excitement shows you have a wonderful attitude. After a while, another message arrives, wishing the boy will live to see all the things he dreams of doing in the world. This makes the boy wonder why everyone is so eager to survive out there in the real world. As soon as the hero pressed the button on the screen, a strange energy began to glow. That same energy drags him into the computer, pulling his whole body to a strange new place. As he floats inside the computer, he thinks about all the goals he hasn't reached yet in this life. Then we jump back to the present, right before he meets his end. The idea that there is still more to achieve gives the main character a powerful push to act right then. His rage against the system is so fierce that it turns the air red with lasers striking every man nearby. He doesn't even know how much power he holds, and he can't understand why his body is changing. His power unlocked the world, freezing everything in place just long enough for him to move. Just as the sword was about to strike, time froze, and he lived to see another day. Still very confused, the boy keeps wondering what's going on because he can't quite tell if time has stopped or not. He felt time had frozen in place because he was so focused on something important. Suddenly words light up the sky to tell us the game has just begun. The boy is even more puzzled by the status message appearing in the sky, which is the first thing you see when the game starts, but just as he finally begins his second life, another message pops up and leaves him completely bewildered again. It's Kim's turn to pull the strings and play as Gillison. The boy knows that window appearing above all too well, and he gets so excited whenever he sees it. He recalls playing this game so often that he has seen that message more than 100 times. Just as the boy's heart sinks, a sudden chime announces the start, making him even more nervous. Finally, we reach the best part of the story from the comic books he used to read. After spending half his life playing this game, he's convinced he can rewrite everything and become the ultimate master, even though the gods have forgotten him, and he's already beaten countless main and side quests. Thinking of himself as a master who knows every secret corner of the game, he believed he could do anything and rule everything. There is just one question left burning in the protagonist's mind. Why did he step into the game as the prince? Luckily, as long as he still has breath in his lungs, he will always find a way to escape and grow stronger. Seeing the new message, he realizes his long-awaited second life has finally begun, filling him with excitement as his new journey starts right now. This is the first big decision in the whole game, where you pick a destiny card system to decide how he will fight. The game picks your starting traits for you at random, just like drawing a name from a hat. But that same randomness could backfire on him, leaving him with a useless card just when he needs it most to get out of this mess. He felt his heart race as he realized his fate was about to be decided by a simple game of chance. He yells that no matter if he ends up in heaven or hell, he's ready to play his best move. Appalled, he shuts his eyes and prays for a good card, pouring every bit of his heart and effort into the request. He takes a deep breath and realizes that at least one of the 3 cards must be Class B. But if the cards he pulls are nothing but garbage, the game ends before it even begins. Yet luckily it's kind to newcomers, and the boy just wants one small chance. He dashes to pick a class, muttering that he just needs something useful, no matter if it's an S rank. Honestly, if you're a master at the game, any S rank fighting style will work. Holding 3 cards, he knows his fate is about to be decided. The very first card he pulls is a Class D actor, a terrible luck for getting out of this mess. All his hope rested on the second card, but sadly, it revealed a rank F slave gladiator. The cards he pulls are terrible and won't save him from this situation, which frustrates the boy a lot. So desperate, he looks at the cards and wonders where the beginner-friendly features went since the game is incredibly difficult from the start. Luckily, one final card remains, holding the boy's entire life in its grip. The moment his fingers brushed the card, a dazzling rainbow glow sparked his wonder, and thanks to pure luck, the card turned out to be a rare X-rank treasure. Suddenly, a bright message pops up, announcing that the Archmage has shown up in the Destiny cards. The boy's eyes light up with pure excitement as he pulls this perfect card, feeling incredibly lucky to have found his way out right from the very first draw. As the boy beams with joy over his rare Archmage card, the ultimate powerhouse that rules the game until its very end. This rare card has only a 1 in 10,000 chance of appearing, and the boy never thought he would get something like that this time. Holding the cards, he starts thinking about his next move and how he'll finally beat his enemies. Time has stopped dead because of his power, leaving the Pig Prince frozen in place right before he loses. Deep in his thoughts, the hero realizes something is wrong because he doesn't feel like a player anymore, but just like a mindless NPC. Even though he woke up in a fat body, he's still the prince of a magical empire. This magic flows through his veins. It likely helped him draw the Destiny card, a lucky break that the boy is truly thankful for. He glanced at the card and immediately declared he'd use the new class he'd just unlocked. But before making his choice, he stops and thinks hard about something that just caught his eye. He looks at his own body and realizes that no matter how strong his class makes him, the assassin's sword could still strike him down instantly. The ropes binding him, he has barely a second to react and save himself. The trouble with picking the Archmage is that he needs to gather a whole army of men first before he can even cast a spell. Amidst this tense moment, gathering magic feels like trying to catch smoke in a fist, a nearly impossible task. After he gathers the magic, he must cast a long spell. As he thinks it over, he realizes it will take too long and he won't be able to dodge the sword strike. He picks this class, his fate is doomed and it won't end well. The boy sighs in sadness, knowing he can't use his best card and has to pick one of his 2 worst ones to play. He has to find a smart way to get out of this mess fast, and his only hope to live is to toss away the powerful Archmage card, meaning he must give up his greatest strength. The boy stiffened with fear, unsure why this card had to appear right when he needed it most. Frustrated but refusing to quit, he keeps thinking about how to survive since he's waited his whole life for a shot like this. His eyes sting with tears as he realizes the game is driving him crazy, leaving him to pick a useless D or F rank card and desperately wondering which one might be the lesser of 2 terrible evils. The boy is so scared that he knows one wrong move means either death or heaven, so he can't possibly afford to make a mistake. The air grows thick with tension as the main character picks the fate card he chose. Against everyone's expectations, the hand was dealt the dreaded F-rank card known as Slave Gladiator. He knows this game inside out and believes you can survive even with a terrible card like this. A message pops up saying the F-rank Destiny card has gone to the chubby prince. But once he picks a card, the other 2 disappear, leaving that amazing card he held in his hand lost forever. The legendary Archmage card, holding power beyond belief, is slowly fading away in a heartbreakingly sad way. Clutching his heart with a heavy sigh, the protagonist whispers to himself that he will find that Archmage card again someday. After losing his best card and feeling terrible, a sky message warns that the game will restart in 5 seconds with no more breaks, so the boy steadies himself to face it calmly and escape. Just moments before the game starts again, he pauses to ask himself why he's trapped inside the body of the Pig Prince. Even though he isn't the hero, he's ready to grab every chance he can get to stay alive and make the most of his second life. Even though the boy is just a side character, he gives everything he has to the playable character he got. He remembers how his character lost his head in the original tale, but this time the MC is in charge, and since they aren't the same person, the boy is determined to give it everything he has. The trouble was that he wasted the final moments thinking, and in doing so, he forgot how to use his powers. With only 2 seconds left and a heart pounding in fear, he desperately tries to figure out how to save himself, but it's too late to find the right buttons, leaving him shivering in the cold as he realizes he might not make it. As the match starts and the card is picked, time flows again and the whole story begins to unfold. Bitter Prince is back in the player's hands, ready to follow every command given. Just as time ran out, he remembers the special buttons and presses them. Hopefully there's enough here to save him from all of this mess. The old man stares in shock that his target is still alive after his powerful sword strike, and he can't help but wonder what is wrong with his blade. Luckily, the slave class powers fired up just in time to spin chains that caught the sword and save the heir to the throne. The assassins stood stunned because their target had survived, so the pig, feeling desperate, frantically tugged at his ropes to break free and escape his enemies. The impatient assassin leader demands to know how his target could still be alive after nearly getting sliced up by a sword. A message popped up on the screen saying a new skill had just been unlocked, which might just be the key to freeing the chubby prince, especially since the slave gladiator happened to have a little defensive trick up his sleeve that came in handy right when it mattered. The ability description says that if you're held still, you can dodge one enemy attack every day. In this spot, the Archmage's skills would do him no good while he's tied up with a sword right above his head. Even though it's terrible, the gladiator's skills are much better at saving someone in this situation than the mage's. After surviving the ordeal, the boy is still in so much pain and can't believe he actually made it through. With a clear goal in mind, the assassins move forward, still determined to bring down the hare. Unfortunately, he can only use that power once a day, so his next attack will send the man's head flying. All that's left for the MC is to stop and think, knowing every dark secret of the game and how to use them to win. He even remembers the old battle priest who used to believe in Aol, the god of vengeance. The rest of his followers are crazed fanatics who worship that same insane god. With all this in mind, the chubby prince hatches a plan to turn their fanatical loyalty to his own advantage. Then he loudly shouts Bemo Damar's name and curses him right in front of everyone. When he hears his name, the battle priest freezes, stunned that the prince could know that much. Staying true to the plan, the protagonist keeps throwing insults at them until they stand there speechless, sweating with nervous fear. He challenges the men, asking if their fanaticism is so strong that they don't realize the stranger is actually their own master trapped inside another body. This leaves them stunned, unsure if the figure standing before them is really the god they worship. The prince stood up and kept going, saying he was really Alum. He walks through the crowd of hooded figures, declaring that he is their master and they are his followers. As he keeps talking, he thinks to himself, please, because he didn't know he could come up with such a clever plan, and then excitedly declares that the hooded ones must follow him and worship him wherever he goes. He who is a master at lying claims he deserves praise because he is the god of vengeance. From now on, he will become the god of vengeance that these people worship in the game. And they have no choice but to accept that the man standing before them is truly Eolm. He shouts again, challenging his followers to see if they have the guts to turn their swords against the very god they worship. They stand frozen in shock, because if the man is truly who they think he is, then making this choice would be a terrible error. The three henchmen exchange nervous glances, unsure if they're walking toward salvation or doom, but the lie is obvious from the look in the assassin's eyes because no one believes a word he says. In this, the boy panics instantly, his skin breaking out in cold sweat as he scrambles to find a way to save himself. The old man laughs in disbelief, thinking no god would choose such a weak and silly body, so the chubby prince tries to stay alive by threatening his followers and claiming he can't say what form he'll take when he arrives on Earth. He keeps threatening the men with wild, bloody promises to prove he is the god of revenge, acting like a crazy person just to stay alive. It doesn't matter how wildly the boy acts in the game because this god is exactly the kind of person who would do it. The world's forgotten by 12 bullying gods who rule everything yet love to mess with mortals in the funniest ways. But the boy can't stop to explain it because his head might roll off in just a few minutes. He kept going and said they should be thankful that he came down to their world just to visit them, which would have been a huge problem if it were any other god. Of all the gods, Aeolum is the one who steps in the most, driven by his love for revenge and his habit of watching every war, often choosing to intervene directly through personal fights or battles between nations. Luckily, the developer gave the main character a perfect chance to shine. Finally, the leader realizes it was a terrible mistake to insult the chubby prince and begins to apologize. The prince feels happy because he has tricked everyone into believing he is someone else, and that deception will keep him alive. Still not fully convinced, the assassin asks the man to prove he's their god by blessing his followers. They need proof that he is who he says he is, so the boy must find a way out of this tense moment. He thinks about how the real God would never give blessings, so he follows a plan, promises to bless them from his own merciful heart, and finally steps up to speak directly to the assassin leader. He pointed to the golden statue dedicated to him last week, and complained rudely that it was just made of plain gold and could have been much better. The old man stood frozen and humiliated as his gift was openly mocked. Digging deeper into his role, he screams at his followers again, asking if they think their meager gifts can fool him. He adds that if even his priest is like this, he wonders what the rest of his followers must be like, probably gullible enough to follow another god. The man sweats nervously as embarrassment builds, feeling punished while insisting he was only trying his best. They say real faith shows in what you do, not what you say, and honestly, his hair is now demanding that the money he gets is clean. He insists that having tons of cash is the best way to show they really believe in this faith. The assassins feel ashamed because their boss gets yelled at for choosing a plain statue, but the blonde boy warns them that he knows every secret from every quest and is counting on it to get them out alive. After a long talk, the old man finally gives in and tells his followers to let the chubby prince go. A message pops up telling the boy he's finished his first quest and is overjoyed that the danger is finally gone. As the old man approaches, he admits he's ashamed for not recognizing his god right away, while the boy delivers the final blow by complaining that the men have sore him up and calling their behavior an outrage, telling them to bite their tongues. The priest takes the bluff seriously and agrees to do the mission for real, even though he might just be pretending. The assassins start quarreling over whether to follow orders if Adelm is truly standing right in front of them. They also say he has given the prince the worst reputation, with people calling him a pig because of his bad image. But after a few seconds, they begin to wonder if acting this way is just what pigs are naturally like. The blonde boy feels his heart race as they inch closer to his secret, leaving him sweating with fear. As he steps closer, the leader talks to his god, saying he feels lucky to finally meet him face to face. As the man keeps asking questions, the MC thinks that he only made it out alive because people remember the character as a bad one. He says that if the sacrifices at the altar had been better, the borrowed body would have been far stronger and more magnificent. And it's all the followers' fault, claiming that better gifts would have changed everything. An important question is asked in the circle, wondering why the god has not shown himself lately, and that question hits the boy like a dagger to the chest. It also piques the priest's curiosity as to whether his master has some urgent business to attend to in the world. The assassin doesn't believe the hero's tale at all, but he keeps him around for later use. Shaking off his act, the boy snaps that he doesn't need to list every single reason or explain himself at all. He asks if they think he's not credible and says he'll have to take his pants off to prove it, but luckily, AOL acts exactly like that. So the whole thing fits his character perfectly, and his performance makes his fans want to apologize again. It's easy to see the man is only playing along with the MC's story to calm his subordinates down, but that was the boy's whole plan to get everyone relaxed so he could find a chance to escape. The prince's eyes land on something that makes his stomach twist with doubt about everything happening. One follower stays quiet in the back, just watching everything happen without saying a word. Everyone thinks the masked man is the true hero of the game, holding back until the perfect time to strike. It makes him feel uneasy, wondering who the man truly is in a game where the main character has no fixed past. Maybe he doesn't fit into any of the three big groups that rule this world. First, there is the Baltic Magic Empire, the home of the Pig Prince. Next up is the Rebel Army, which is constantly fighting against the Empire. And last of all, there's the mysterious council made up of the 5 beast tribes. The Empire and the Revolution have always been enemies, so the revolutionaries killing the third prince was a clear warning to the Emperor. Now that he remembers the whole story, the MC sees that the people before him won't stop trying to send him to heaven because they need to deliver a message to the Emperor, so he starts scrambling for a way to survive. He's gotta find something quick, or the revolutionary army won't let the prince live. Amidst the tension, the MC realizes he played his best hand to survive, but it clearly failed since the assassins are still determined to end him. With no hope left, the boy must think fast to save the pig prince, who would have been taken to heaven but now lives on thanks to the protagonist. With his smarts and quick thinking, he's already dodged several deadly traps in just a few minutes. The boy finally realizes that acting this way is exactly what a game hero does, and that makes him feel so happy. He never claims he has finally woken up inside the body of a hero, the dream he's waited for his whole life. But in the game, the trouble keeps going, and the old man, getting more and more annoyed, demands to know what exactly the chubby prince was trying to say. He brushes it off as just a tiny glitch in his link to his physical form, but the air grows heavy with tension as everyone wonders if he'll make it through. But the boy is ready to throw everything he has into fixing this mess, because once you hit the very bottom, you can only go up. So his hair commits fully to its new role, determined to make it work. He shouts that from this day forward, the third prince, Porco, will be his chosen follower. He commanded that no one touch him, a shocking twist that left all the assassins stunned. He then makes an even stranger claim, saying that in the future the chubby one will join the revolutionary army. When he said it, his disciples froze, glancing at each other in shock as his choice shattered their beliefs. The game warns him that rising to the heavens now would count as a defeat for his team. Outside the game, the young man is thrilled, having cleverly outsmarted the problem and laughing at the whole silly situation. Even the most obsessed among them still tremble at the thought of the harsh punishment waiting for them. Now that his pieces are all set on the board, the schemer can finally take a breath, knowing he is safe for a while. Suddenly, the occultist leader bursts into laughter, clearly seeing through our silly trick and knowing exactly what he's doing. Once more, the boy feels his confidence crumbling, wondering why this is happening when he thought he was in control. The old man sneered at the suffering man, asking in a cruel voice if he could really trust his words. He moved in with a fierce, angry energy, insisting that the god of revenge never tells lies, which made the MC worry he had made a huge mistake. He says it's hard to imagine royal blood ever fighting for revolution. Denny nins. Suddenly their own god pops up out of nowhere to say the third heir prince is coming to their side. He hopes the boy will make a mistake and reveals he'll take him to the army's headquarters in Orax's capital and the cathedral. The boy panics as he realizes he's about to be taken to the Revolutionary Army's headquarters, the group that has long tried to overthrow the empire, meaning he's walking straight into a deadly trap where his life hangs in the balance. As the old man tells the bishop he'll announce Alm's arrival, the boy's heart races because he knows that place is a death trap filled with killers. Realizing that ending up in the dangerous cathedral would mean serious trouble, he knows that if the archbishop catches him, all his lies will finally be exposed. If that really happens, the assassins will turn on the hero once more, finally trying to kill him for good. The boy is so scared that he imagines being tied up again and having his life taken away. Back in the present, the leader orders his men to get the boy's coffin ready, pretending the young one is choosing to walk right into the afterlife. Determined to stay away from the empire, he starts wondering if scaring them like a god of revenge is still the right move. He wonders what might happen if he actually ends up in the empire. When they arrive in the Empire, they'll find out everything is a lie, and the followers of the God of Vengeance will hunt them down to punish this heresy. That scary thought sends shivers down the spine of the chubby one, who is absolutely terrified of leaving the ground right now. His mind wanders through every possible future, and a follower stops him to ask if he is alright. And as his worry grows, he starts to hope a rescue team might arrive, especially since he is the crown prince and still matters a lot. The only trouble is that someone inside the Empire, just like the NPC, also wants Gloin dead. It was this very man who turned the revolutionary army against the third prince, forcing them to snatch him up and launch him into the sky. He has to march into enemy land because going back home would just mean getting attacked from every direction. After a while, the old man tells his god that the carriage is ready to drive him into the land of the revolutionary army. Even if this is his only chance to stay alive, one tiny slip-up will reveal his secret. As he steps toward the carriage, a bright planet appears in his mind, and he acts on it by pretending to be angry, shouting that he won't enter such a dirty vehicle, and asking what kind of carriage this is. Still acting, he tells his follower to spend more on the carriage next time, calling him a cheap priest. Seeing the boy walk into the carriage calmly, even as he cursed everyone, made the old man start to think he might truly be his god. Seeing the man look so shocked, the MC asks why he acts that way. Then he shouts for everyone to hear that the third prince is leaving the Empire to join the revolutionary army. And everyone is shocked because if the boy wasn't the god of vengeance, he would be too scared to even step foot in the headquarters. He happily says again that they must take the prince to the capital. He stands in the walled, beautiful city of Orax and realizes that going back to the Empire now means certain defeat. Being so smart, he thinks the trip to the capital will be a perfect chance to grow and get better. He loves a challenge and doesn't let the difficulty of the place he's heading to stop him, because he just needs to focus on finding a way through. Thrilled and convinced it's just part of the game, the pro player pushes past the fear to invade enemy lands, so he finally orders his assassins to guard the prince's soft body and keep him safe on the journey. He orders them to rush and get some rice and fine alcohol ready for eating and drinking on their trip. The leader gets angry because he thinks throwing away those supplies is a huge waste. The blonde one insists that using those supplies will help him spread his message and bring divine words to his followers. That's enough to make the young assassins bow down and truly believe him. He predicts that within the next 2 weeks, something extraordinary will happen in Orax, sending many people soaring up to the sky. This hits everyone hard, especially the young folks who weren't ready for such a big disaster in their own capital. But he promises that by using the prince's body you can stop this terrible disaster from happening. He insists that the next move is to complete the prophecy, which makes the old man feel a bit annoyed. The boy's clever plan forces his men to keep the pig alive and bring him to headquarters to save his own life. As the prince traveled, he ate the very best and most delicious food he could find. As a true glutton, he praises the venison as amazing and keeps eating it, one huge serving after another. He cheers up the weary crowd by boasting that everyone is such a master of grilling they could start a barbecue joint themselves. He proposes that once they arrive in Orax's capital, they should open a place called the Priest of Vengeance. The old man is fed up with the endless chatter, telling him to eat in silence because no one can stand the blonde woman spouting nonsense, yet he can't walk away from such a great meal, so he pulls out a bottle containing a snake. When he opens it, he says this famous drink will make you dizzy after just one sip and burn your throat. He never stopped drinking on the trip, gulping down every drop he had even though he knew it was bad for his health. His ability to drink so much without getting drunk makes his apostles believe the lie that he is the vengeful god who loves booze. Thinking it over, he jokes that his final words before dying might be, "I want to drink the assassin's best liquor," but once he gets drunk and starts talking nonsense that annoys everyone, the old man tells him to shut up again. Then the MC explains that the leader is just grumpy because he can't handle liquor, so when he's annoyed, it's super easy to read him. He praises today's food, noting that it hasn't been this tasty in a long time. He explains that the real magic happens when fresh venison meets bold, spicy seasonings. He says it's been forever since he tasted fresh lamb and admits he's had enough of staring at that dry stuff. They spent 3 long days and nights on the tiring road before finally reaching the capital. As the boy traveled, he felt like he was about to die because the old man was following him closely and acting very strange. In the game, Jillison only appears in scenes where he eats, living a life of endless parties, drinks, and wild extravagance. But there's an even bigger problem on the hero's character sheet that he's looking at right now. Even though his overall stats aren't impressive, one thing that really stands out is his terrible endurance, sitting at a poor minus him how this guy is still standing, given how little energy he has left. In this game, even a baby is tougher than the prince, who usually starts with only 12 endurance. The prince is growing weaker and might not make it to his destination before he passes away. But the assassin's boss says they can't toss the boy a healing potion right now because they're being chased and might need it later. The boy must trust his guardians to keep him safe and hope his strength lasts, but the man will only give him the potion if the boy can help fight off their enemies. He opens the menu, chats with Barmillo and mentions his favorite dish. Barmelo's eyes go wide with delight, knowing that a favor owed by a god is a treasure he can cash in anytime he needs. The favor he's asked to do is so strange that everyone just wonders why he wants the man to hit his own backside. The man freezes in shock, his grip slipping until the potion falls, and he suddenly loses all sense of what's real. He quickly snaps back to reality and asks his master to repeat what he just said, since he can't believe what he heard. But the boy stands firm, repeating his request for the man to hit his backside even as he holds it up for everyone to see. The old man, completely shocked, asks the prince what he's up to and wonders if he's finally lost his mind from all the hard travel. As everyone watches in shock, they can't believe they're seeing the throne's private parts like this for the first time. Fuming that they refuse to listen, he yells and demands to know if they will truly defy a god's command. After turning on his god of vengeance power, he finally gets the man to agree, leading to a ridiculous scene. When he gets slapped, a hidden power kicks in and his energy starts to come back. After getting a slap on the backside, the boy felt all better and told everyone he was feeling much improved. This happens because the slave's special power lets them gain strength from pain, making their body tougher whenever they take a hit that doesn't kill them. So the priest realizes he always knew Alan was crazy, but hadn't expected such strange tastes. When he claims the god doesn't care about personal tastes, the boy corrects him, noting that the gladiator's fate card is bizarre because it connects to physical pain, and its unique powers are designed specifically for those with such strange preferences. After a while, the cooldown is over, and you can use the ability again to bring your resilience back. Then, obeying his master's orders, the man strikes him again, catching him off guard. The boy grew frustrated, shouting that he needed more time to brace for the coming blow and wondering why the priest was hitting him harder than before. After hitting the wrong spots, the man suddenly feels a cool, refreshing buzz running through his whole body. After that, the followers all rush to take turns slapping the master's backside for a boost, competing so fiercely that the blonde grows annoyed and demands everyone's attention to speak something important. The chaos gets so bad that one of the followers grabs a stick to really get the job done. Scared by how crazy these people are, the chubby one stops to ask them to stop calling everyone crazy. Back to the serious stuff, the guy who stays quiet is still a mystery, and it's weird that he just watches everything happen without saying a word. On this special day, the masked man stares back with a mystery that feels even deeper than before. The silly show gets wilder as they tie him up with ropes and vines to give him more pain that won't kill him, but every time he takes a hit, his power wakes up and fills him with new energy and strength. Once more, the huge man stands quiet, watching everything while a dark and scary feeling surrounds him. After taking many hard hits that felt like tough training, the character's endurance grew up to 37. And as time slips by, the boy loses all feeling in his backside, yet his friends won't quit pounding him. Around the campfire, the leader turns to his master and jokes that his body still looks like a baby pig. The boy jokes back and realizes it's a blast to sit by the fire all night, chatting and eating with friends. Even though these men came to fight him and aren't really allies, watching them clash is still pretty fun. After a while, the priest turns to the third prince to share something important he has been holding in his heart. Suddenly, he looks worried and says a big problem is unfolding. Everything went wrong because he never thought the boy would survive or that his hair would turn into an apostle alum. He adds that the original plan was to toss the blonde's body somewhere after sending him to heaven in a truly gross way. But now, no matter how hard the Empire searches, they will never find a single body hidden in the forests. And that's a big worry because the powerful boss who ordered the prince's capture must be so furious that he feels betrayed by the Empire's noble who gave the mission. Being smart, the boy wonders if a search party is getting close. Two amazing warriors from the kingdom are hunting the prince, and they are strong and clever. They're likely hunting for the blonde and might have already blocked our way. So worried, the MC asks if these warriors will let us pass to the teleportation gate in Orax. Tomorrow, they expect to reach the gate, but the followers are worried they might not be strong enough to face the warriors. If the search party beats the army there, a fight is sure to happen. Thinking ahead, he questions the old man about who truly plotted against the crown prince, since he doesn't believe the king was behind it. The question caught the man completely off guard, leaving him speechless because revealing a client would break his mercenary code. Seeing the priest hesitate, the boy urges him to speak because he'll find out the truth either way. That's when it's shown the man who ordered the whole mission is the minister of the imperial palace, a guy driven entirely by his own goals. Hearing this, the pig says, if that is the minister who truly runs everything inside the imperial palace, then this man holds all the power. Right then, the minister is blowing up at the hired mercenaries for messing up the job. His name is Viscount Zerk Morse, a key member of the royal family. The Viscount joins forces with the revolutionary army to chase his own dreams and grow his power. The portal to the capital sits so far away in the deep forest that it's nearly impossible to find without knowing the woods. The blonde takes a moment to think after hearing the news and knowing it was exactly who she suspected. He wasn't shocked to hear it was a minister because he had already figured that out. He says he knows palace secrets well, so it makes the most sense if it really was Morse. Back then, the Empire fought a savage war to take control of the northeastern land. During that fight, the minister's family roots traced back to the Khan tribe in the northeast. Since ancient times, this tribe has been close friends with the Revolutionary Army, so the man likely plans to join their ranks to take back the land they lost in the war with the Empire. The leader felt a spark of excitement because his master's theory fit the situation perfectly. The minister might just be trying to honor his ancestors, so the MC jokes that the minister will get embarrassed if we praise him too much because he can tell from the minister's face that we're truly amazed. But since the tribe doesn't care anymore about the land they lost, it looks like Viscount might be working for both sides. But the boy isn't sure and can't confirm it. Even though the player knows every twist after Porco loses and sees the minister rise to power, the story still unfolds. After finishing the contract and slowly reaching every goal, the boy left the apostle so amazed that he realized the prince actually paid close attention to the world. He pointed out that most of the rumors about him were just made-up nonsense or wild exaggerations. From now on, his influence will slowly pull the story off its original path, bringing new adventures that were never meant to be part of the game. Unexpected things that were never supposed to happen are just waiting to start. After all that talk, the paper shows the Viscount is almost fully set to make his plan work. In the game, he was the type of guy who always used his brain instead of just muscle. Given how smart he is, he probably already knows the path the Revolutionary Army is using to get away. Actually, in the first version of the tale, the third prince was taken prisoner while hunting in the Emperor's grounds. And after that, the group kept walking until they finally made it to the eastern part. And if that's true, the army standing in their way is made up of tough people. Realizing this, the boy turns pale and panics, convinced they've reached the end because he's sure they can't stop the army coming their way. Then he lets out a terrified scream, knowing he's about to face one of the game's toughest opponents. One of the three magical swords guarding the Empire is the night market wielded by Alon Lloyd. They speed up to reach the gate and escape the search party, not realizing that rushing straight there will only lead to their defeat. He tries to save everyone but is told it's impossible, and the thought of a security team guarding the gate feels wrong, while he is now trapped with a fierce search party chasing him and a powerful ruler standing ahead. But as an expert in this game, he must find a way to survive the crisis. So he asked everyone to wait just one more day. The old man is surprised because he didn't think he'd spend another night here. Finally, the big man speaks up, saying the boy intends to wait for the bear and the night before they go. The chubby one is shocked that the mysterious man who hasn't spoken in 3 days finally talked, making him seem like the perfect candidate to be the game's main character. The big man finally speaks his first words since the journey began, leaving everyone shocked. Knowing what was happening, he asked the prince if they were waiting for the rescue team to come and take him away. He steps forward with a scary look, demanding to know if his idea is wrong. The MC feels tight in the chest, puzzled by what's going on with this guy. The boy stayed quiet, and that silence made the mysterious man feel he was right. At last, the man shows his real self and warns that if the boy stays silent, he will draw his sword to force an answer. The blonde man tries to save himself by saying he doesn't talk to strangers, which is why he didn't reply, and that there's no need to use violence just for that. That man gets so mad he almost loses his cool and does something stupid right then and there. Keeping his point going, the pig questions why he should speak with someone who won't even show their face. But before the fight gets too wild, the leader steps in to calm things down and warn them that if they don't stop now, someone could get really hurt. With a naturally funny nature, the prince joked that they were only just reaching the most exciting part of the whole disaster. Trying to calm things down, the priest apologizes for everything and finally brings out the masked man, whose name is Herbal. But the boy is surprised by the name because he's never seen this man before, which is really strange since he knows the game so well. And no matter how small, he knows the name of every group in this game because he was totally obsessed with it. Driven by curiosity, he asks about the Church of Vengeance, and if Urgel is a priest, only to realize Urgel isn't a priest but a companion, which makes him wonder if the man might just be a mercenary after all. He loomed back, scaring them, and asked what would happen if he became a mercenary who could switch sides just like players can in the game. Basically, people get to travel the whole world and change sides just like a hired soldier. And that's exactly what this man is doing right now, jumping from one spot to another, which makes the boy even more nervous because this mysterious figure seems to have special powers and isn't just a normal character in the game. So he insists the pig answer their questions now that they know his name, but the boy is lost in thought, wondering if the mysterious stranger is another person who somehow ended up in this same world. He bluntly asks once more if the king's guards are hunting for the prince right now. If the man isn't just a simple background character, things get much messier because the blonde was originally meant to grab every single item the player could find. Feeling the clock ticking against a rival team, he grows impatient and forces the MC to spill the secret that the bear is actually known by a different name in this land. Carl Silem is a 6-star warrior who trails others like a hidden shadow. Some say he looks like a string of pearls around a pig's neck. After finishing his story, the masked figure says he respects that warrior deeply, but he doesn't understand why someone so skilled would waste their life as a prince. As the main character began to whine about the bad reviews, a sharp blade was suddenly pressed against his face to silence his complaints. As the man warns the pig to stop trying cheap tricks because he's not falling for them, and with his sword held high, he threatens to cut down anyone foolish enough to wait for a rescue. He sends the boy to the heavens because he never lets anyone who annoys him live, and as the hero watches it all happen, he realizes this isn't the mind of an NPC but the sharp, cold reaction of a true player. Feeling the weight of the moment, the boy slips back into his role and asks the masked man if he's the one calling all the shots. He shouts that the priest should be giving orders, calling the man a mere mercenary, and his rival is stunned because no one in this world talks like that. Blonde then turns to the priest and asks if he was mistaken to believe he was the one in charge. Squeezed tight, the old man admits that the angry priest holds the key to the third prince's future. The chubby one gets excited, praises his priest, and says he believed in him the whole time. But in a shocking twist, the elder admits he actually agrees with the mercenaries in this case. He warns that staying will only bring guards fast and turn his team into bait for the prince, so he urges everyone to calm down as he admits they are indeed being followed. Two legendary figures, a mighty warrior and a fearsome witch, are charging toward each other, and their power is felt all around the world. But he warns that the gatekeeper might be far more dangerous than the two men on that team. He says that only a handful of people in the kingdom are skilled enough to be hired for such a vital mission as saving the king's son. The assassin's leader is shocked to find such a hard fight waiting for him just to get to the capital. Mara Alan Lloyd is so famous that even the assassins know him as the commander of the special forces. The boy insists there's no hope of fighting Lloyd because he is simply too powerful to beat. This man is one of the Empire's top 3 magical warriors and one of the game's strongest NPCs without any exaggeration, having reached the player equivalent of level 90 as a swordsman with 9 stars. The worried old man can't believe this dangerous man showed up and asks how this whole mission went wrong. And, laughing at him, he dared the masked man to try beating Marcus Lloyd all by himself. Left speechless by the silence, the group feels uneasy until the boy surprises them by asking what would happen if all the priests joined forces to fight. Scared for his own life, he told them they could head to the heavens on their own if they wanted to. Hearing all this makes the boy feel scared, knowing the Empire's sword is already hunting him. He is shocked by the man's reaction, expecting him to flatly deny the claims and call them nonsense, but the man is clearly panicked, warning that staying on this path would only lead them to throw their lives away. The boy's eyes widen with curiosity as he spots his rival suddenly looking scared. As the old man prepares for their long journey and worries about the warriors blocking the gate, the main character realizes they must find a clever way to slip past the rivals instead of charging straight at them. The boy laughs and asks what happened to everyone, since they were doubting him just a second ago but now they've suddenly changed their minds. The leader gets annoyed by his master mocking everyone and tries to change the topic with a cough, but that just makes the boy mad enough to start coughing too, much to the chubby one's disappointment and the old man's shock, since he never expected to see such rude behavior in this world or in the game. But finally, the blonde shows his true colors, warning that if they care about this mess, they must prove it with real sincerity. The promise to bring him a special item is the real proof of his sincerity. The boy insists the man promise first before he tells him what item he needs. He also demands protection by any means necessary, and tells them to settle the score in the name of the god of vengeance. He claims that if they can't trust the third prince, they should all head to a better place, where his followers will fight against the Empire's sword, and now he demands everyone follow his orders to get them safely to Orax. To get everyone to listen, he begins the oath circle and speaks his words aloud. The masked man watches with disgust, clearly not buying the hero's words, while his followers look as confused and unsure as everyone else. The old man admits things are going wrong but says he will follow the prince's lead, though he expects the gods to step in if things truly go south. After that, the blonde gets so pumped about winning over the leader that she declares there's no need to talk anymore. Without wasting a second, he takes off in the direction he wants and shouts for everyone to follow him. He halts in his tracks and shouts, "Where's Carl?" Everyone stops dead in their tracks to listen to the MC shout out loud to get the warriors' attention. Then they finally realize what's happening, grow scared wondering if she is truly there, and fear that she might be sent away. He shouts again, urging them to hurry and step out from the shadows. After a loud argument, Nightingale and the bear finally show up, but it's the wrong time, leaving the girl hiding in the shadows to wonder why her perfect moment has been ruined. In shadowing the group for 3 days, which is how the chubby one knew exactly where they were heading. The warrior questioned why His Highness acted so quickly, noting that holding back just a little longer would have let them ambush the kidnappers. But the boy refuses to go back to the Empire in Moxard and asks Lloyd to stop saying mean things because she's already scaring everyone. Actually, this girl's name is Cylon, not Lloyd, but she happily explains that Marcus Lloyd, her father's close friend known as the Midnight Warrior, is who the main character meant. Dramatically, Silence admits that even as everything falls apart, she is relieved the prince is safe. Right now, the girl is the heir's bodyguard, but soon she'll leave the empire to lead the heavy warriors. And with that, she'll be given the special honor of becoming the Midnight Knight. The MC recalls this terrifying nightmare mission, a secret event that only unfolds in the original tale after he climbs into the heavens. After finding out her true origins, Salem goes back to see Marcus and tries to get the answers she needs. That is why she eventually swaps her birth name for Lloyd. She takes on the name of Marcus, the man with the cold face who is standing guard at the main gate. The man standing guard at the gate is always on high alert and ready to fight sudden attacks, for he is one of the kingdom's best warriors. The chubby one tries to twist the story's path by sharing the girl's birth secret to leave her surprised, but before he can finish his words, the girl screams at the kidnappers to let His Highness go free. Holding her razor-sharp sword, she threatens to slice everyone in half if they don't do exactly what she says. Her friends are scared because the boy showed up all by himself, even though no one told him to. Peering into the faces of his captors, who have now become his companions, the blonde can read their hidden thoughts just by looking at their expressions. As the strong girl carries him, he worries that if he stays this way, he'll be dragged back to the palace where his escape plan will all go to waste. The boy screams at his leader, feeling let down because no one else is moving. Deloro notices something and spins around, startled and ready for action. Footsteps are getting closer, and the assassins freeze in fear as they see the new person coming. Deep in the forest, a redhead dressed in black showed up looking scary and strong. The old man points out that rumors about Irvin Sui, the Red Shadow, are spreading through the Revolutionary Army. People say she's a 200-year-old witch who keeps her youth by bathing in virgin blood. Hearing the words, the hare finally realizes that all his cleverness couldn't save him from getting caught in the middle of this trap. He first learned about this character from the official lorebook of the GFW world. He felt a surge of excitement, reading about her for the first time, imagining how incredibly powerful she must be. Online, people started guessing wildly, and the game's official site was overwhelmed with news about this new character. But then, something changed the moment the girl was finally shown to everyone. In this story, she changes into a stunning woman, and the boy starts to wonder if it's right for the game makers to trick players with misleading books. As the woman gets closer, the boy is still confused by the developer's choice to make her like her, so the redhead tells him she had to walk for 3 days and 3 nights through the mountains, eating only dried meat to find the prince, which surprises the blonde since they did the same thing, making him joke that she must be an angel instead of a witch for liking dried meat. She was already furious and couldn't wait to crush every kidnapper along the way. Amidst the shadow of war, the prince asks how the rescue team managed to survive those 3 days. The chubby one tries to calm everyone down by saying it's all over now because they finally found who they were looking for. Even though Sammy is happy to be alive and safe, a hand suddenly smacks him hard across the face. The witch is so mad at the blonde guy that she slaps him hard across the face. That hard slap triggers a special power in the slave warrior, and in a blind rage, she screams that the boy is a pig right in front of everyone. She stomps on his face, declaring she endured endless hardships to save him, only to find him uncooperative and trying to ruin her plan while his mixokism power kicks in to heal him. She laughs at him, wondering if his head is just for decoration since it's likely empty, but this cruel teasing somehow gives him back his strength. Looking at this mess, he wonders how he got such a terrible pig disciple, a thought that reminds the boy that in the original tale, Jolosin was meant to train Sui. Because he was so lazy, he never got a proper lesson, so he had no natural gift for magic or anything else. Just as she readies another blow, she jokes that it would be funny if the pig could swallow magic like he swallows food. The girl doesn't mind if the boy is a prince or just a regular kid. She's going to roast him without caring about the fallout, which makes the chubby guy realize that she's actually pretty good at insults for a witch. After getting hit over and over, he collapsed on the ground and screamed for Barmilo to help. After seeing the whole scene, the leader says no priest can fight the 9-star warrior guarding the Stargate, so they quietly move around the 2 women and get ready to strike. As he gets ready for the fight, he admits that things feel different when he's facing 6-star warriors. The worried boy yells out, questioning if they truly want to fight, even if it sends them to heaven. As they lift their sharp swords, the old man tells the girls to speak up right now if they have a better idea. He tells us his friends are too short-tempered and might start a fight any second, so the blonde boy has no choice but to hope things work out since he can't fight well anyway. He knows his sharp mind is his only chance to save himself, so he walks toward the girl with a secret plan ready to use. Then he tells her he'll head off with the followers to the capital, Orax, leaving her completely surprised. She's left wondering what His Highness is up to with his trip to the capital since she can't guess his plan. She grows worried because she knows that place is dangerous ground where rebels plot against the Empire, but the main character insists he understands the risk and has chosen this difficult path on his own. As their leader, he tells the 2 adventurers to stay back and let him be. They told the witch the same thing to keep her from chasing the group. Out of the blue, the boy apologizes, admitting he's been a terrible student all along. He drops to his knees in front of the girl and promises he will never throw away her magic lessons. He adds that he hopes the redhead's lessons will one day sparkle with 5 different colors of light. He shouts with a promise that one day, love for magic will help him win. Even though the game never showed what the witch taught the prince. Her kind heart meant that, no matter how useless Galison became, she would never have treated him like a burden. He admits he doesn't know when he'll master magic, but he's sure it's meant to happen. He admits she won't believe him, but begs her to trust her own disciples just this time. The sorceress stood silent, stunned because she had never seen her student speak with such fierce determination before. The hare begged her one last time to believe in him. After a few seconds of silence, the girl begins to wonder if Josen had those same magical eyes before. She guessed he might have changed because he lost weight, but really the boy himself had become a completely different person. Suddenly he started calling her master, a title he never used before because his terror of her powers and his past habit of ignoring everything but food had made him too selfish to respect her. Everyone in the whole country knows he's hopeless at magic and laughs at him, especially since he'd fall asleep during lessons and never learn a thing. Gashti knows his magic is weak, yet he boldly calls the girl his master and asks if he truly wants her powerful blessing, which she explains is the highest honor for a mage. She stood frozen in shock, wondering if the boy had been faking his stupidity all along. As the protagonist watches the entire scene, he feels sad because Turvin isn't looking at his real body, but at the prince's instead. Actually, the girl isn't looking at Glosson at all, but at something far more mysterious. She wants to find the real spirit of Galison, but nobody knows where it is right now. She says that for the last 5 years, she has been the one teaching the boy. Poor boy can't cast spells right, but if he takes his time to learn, it might just be enough. She urges her student that even without talent, there are no limits to what he can achieve, and as his master, she leaves him to do whatever he wants, offering nothing more than her own words. But the warrior isn't satisfied, and steps into the talk with pure anger. She is absolutely shattered and can't believe His Highness is saying such things. She yanks him by his collar with all her might, jolting him back to reality, and then the blonde girl bursts into tears, claiming she hoped her hair would one day stand up for a cause, leaving him totally confused since he was expecting a punch. But she's now saying she'll fight alongside the prince wherever he goes. With tears streaming down her face, she promises to walk the same path as His Highness, wherever fate takes her. She promises that anyone who stands in her way will have to face Karl's sword. Finally, the boy understands that both girls had high hopes for the third prince because of their strong personalities and worried about him wanting to look worthy in the future. But unfortunately, Kim is only a player inside an NPC's body, not the real prince. Yet his heart warms up seeing such a moving scene and feels as if Gloson's heart is still inside that body. The warrior sobs uncontrollably with mucus dripping from her nose, which makes the protagonist laugh and tease her to stop crying. He insists that since she promised to obey him, her tears and refusal to follow his orders are her breaking that promise. He won't stop making fun of the blonde girl by repeating the exact words she just said. After watching the chaos unfold, the witch decides to join the MC's group of followers. A message pops up confirming that they've both joined the team and are ready to take orders. Even though the leader looks worried, the hero asks if the two of them can officially join the group. Being the prince's only guardians left the old man with no choice but to go along with it. The boy buzzes with excitement now that his team is ready, but his friends look anything but thrilled. The blonde still can't trust them because just 3 days ago, His Highness was taken by the same group. The followers of the vengeance god feel uneasy when the two girls are around. The kidnapper's full plan to steal the throne's heir is revealed, using smoke bombs and sleep-inducing drinks for the horse. The MC tries to calm his friend by saying he gets why she's mad, but now that it's all over, he feels a strange sense of relief. He insists that despite everything that happened, nobody actually died. And if that had happened, nothing would have gone as smoothly as it has these past few days. Thinking about it, the fat boy understands that without him being alive to join the revolutionary army, nothing would have changed from the very start. Switching the topic, the warrior tells the boy he looks much thinner than before in just a little while. She asks if her pretty's cheeks have grown thinner in the past few days. Truth be told, his weight only went down because he had to climb mountains without stopping while carrying his teenage companion. He jokes that his suffering took his soul along with the weight, but the boy suddenly asks the girl what she'll do if things get rough and hair starts growing in the wrong places. He complains that the Empire wasted such a precious girl and adds some dirty remarks about her. Talking to someone you only knew through a screen feels so unreal, yet right now it's just like chatting with an old friend. That's because Karl leads the raid squad in the game. In the original game, you can earn the trust of certain characters to join your team, and the blonde girl is a perfect example of this. Having such a strong teammate as her made most battles much easier because she always had a solid attack plan. Now that the girls and the assassins were all together, most of the players' troubles vanished and felt much easier to handle. He used to order her into every dangerous fight like a party member until he finally grew tired of it. Remembering the pain he caused the girl while playing makes him feel guilty, yet she proves she is truly a mighty warrior who lives up to her reputation. But compared to him, the blonde's red-haired friend is a much tougher mystery to crack. She's hard to call on the battlefield because her plans are too tricky. Suddenly, the boy stops dead in his tracks, filled with the warm feeling that meeting the sorceress was a gift. The girl sees the boy frozen in place, staring at her, so she asks what's wrong. The blonde feels a strange twist in his chest and wonders what's going on. The girl gets mad when she feels someone watching her, but the MC feels his heart slowly start to beat faster for her. Talking to himself, he wonders what's wrong with him since he can't possibly feel anything for the child who called the witch a witch. Then he worries that if she hears that, she'll get annoyed. Luckily, the whole thing is just in his head, and he realizes that being 19 means a young sorceress is no longer seen as a child. People whisper that she might be over 200 years old, and all the witches go by the same name, passing their memories down like a family secret that turns into a tradition. After all these years, they look and sound exactly the same, passing down the same fears and gossip about who they are. Maybe this character isn't liked in the game. The warrior breaks the MC's concentration to tell him he looks thin but full of energy. She remarks that it feels like they're stepping back into the past, which surprises the team leader. She begins to explain that it feels just like the days when they were at the juvenile palace. That's the children's palace, the fancy school where every rich family in the empire sent their kids. His charm and cleverness were so great that every maid adored the young man. The boy became so famous that children from wealthy families began racing each other just to catch a glimpse of him. But suddenly, the player realizes this story wasn't part of the original game and things keep shifting, even as the armored girl laments that the empire goes too far worshipping magic. In this world, a person is only seen as worth anything if they can master magic, a skill the young prince simply lacked, as he was hopelessly bad at moving mana through his own body. She felt deeply sad because her friend's fate was sealed. He was simply not a good mage. But he didn't let it get to him, so he gave her a pat on the back to try to lift her spirits. It turns out this was Glozan's past, showing the most wanted heir of the emperor and proving he had no magic talent at all. In this world where only the magically gifted are held in high regard, failing to master your own power meant certain defeat. Because of that, the young boy slowly twisted his heart against the noble people who treated him with coldness and cruelty. His life is like an old saying, the higher a bird soars, the harder it hurts when it falls. Right now, the boy just wants to get to the capital without trouble, so he tells his friend not to waste time dwelling on the past. He insists we live in the now, arguing that who he was as a child no longer matters. After all, nobody in the kingdom remembers the third prince from school except for his friend, and strangely the boy finds it a blessing that people don't know him well. Right now, the heir is known as a runaway drifter who spends all its time drinking, eating and partying without stopping. He can't live with that bad name forever, so he tells his friend to remember that he'll come back with everything he needs to survive. He decides that the past no longer matters and that magic talent isn't required, so even with a terrible destiny card, he can still become an archmage if he works hard enough. With great excitement, he announces that life is about to change and urges everyone to stand tall and get ready for it. Hearing this gives her the confidence to trust His Highness completely. As the group trudges toward the capital, only the two blondes feel excited while the prince stops to explain his true goals to his friend in Orax. He warns that traitors are hiding inside the empire, and he believes two specific people are involved. The warrior is shocked to find someone else there, since he never thought anyone but Viscount Morse could be there. Morris is only the first of many as more people turn against the empire to serve their own needs. But the boy says not to worry, because he knows every single name from all his time playing the game. He asks if she knows Mara Elon Lloyd, the guard watching the northeast side of the city. It's explained that he is a close friend of the warrior's dad and one of the empire's top 3 judges. But a sudden thought hits the girl, making her fear the warrior might be a traitor, but she gets so worked up praising the Marquis's honor that she forgets the knight only said the Marquis was blocking the road, not that he was the traitor. The captain wants to catch the prince and take him back to the palace, and the blonde girl has the exact same job. With worry in his heart, the boy asks what they'll do now and if they should team up with the warrior. Knowing the magistrate, you quickly realize that plan isn't going to work. The prince could try to rebel, but that would wipe out everyone and scare the priests so much they'd only want to take the safer path to save their own skin. The boy, upset that the girl had scared his followers, told them to stop talking. A new idea pops into his head, so he asks his follower if she brought 2 swords for the mission, and even though he isn't the fastest fighter, he reaches out with his clumsy hand to grab his friend's sword. For a warrior, a sword is like a lover, making it nearly impossible to give away. But the boy doesn't have to be convinced for long, because as soon as the prince takes hold of the ordinary well-kept sword, it becomes clear he has a special plan in mind for it. Holding the blade, the boy eagerly moves toward his next plan to reach the capital, but he freezes in shock when his friend praises the sword, making him fear they intend to use it to defeat the Marquis. The blonde then asks the warriors if the order taught them their methods. Just like warriors have their own tricks to defeat the enemy, gamblers have their own ways to beat the odds. Everyone keeps walking without stopping, and the protagonist realizes his story is only just starting. The gate to the capital stands heavily guarded by imperial warriors who wait with patience for their targets to arrive. There stands the great magistrate, a 9-star warrior and master of swords, waiting patiently for his goals while grumbling about how long it's taking. Impatient, he demands to know why the search is taking so long, but the team of skilled assassins has already created so much confusion that they are nearly impossible to track once they leave Imperial territory. The knight grows more annoyed by the wait, loudly grumbling that the prince will only be happy if he finds trouble for the kingdom every single day. But very sadly, he worries about his beloved daughter, who is currently in the hair. It wasn't an easy start for the knight, who was born as the illegitimate son of Lloyd to a maid. Imperial law forced the poor child to live as a servant, but he used his power to clear the boy's name and trusted the count's family to raise him right. Feeling frustrated, he grips his sword tight and wonders why the prince treats her like a mighty warrior. It would be wonderful if that fat third prince acted like a normal person instead of treating everyone like his servant, especially since he used to follow the main prince everywhere, even feeding him while he gambled away fortunes and watching him bring women to bed while drunk, caring only for parties. Furious that his son has suffered so much at the hands of the heir, the father believes it would be kinder to let him pass on to the afterlife than to try to save him. But that would only make things worse, since his son would be known as the one who couldn't protect his lord and would lose his career. Thinking that dying might be better than rotting beside pigs, the warrior asks what he would do if the magistrate were taken hostage. He's so good at what he does that he claims he'll knock out every single enemy before they can even swing a fist. The thought that defeating the prince would finally free his daughter brings him a small measure of relief, and a faint smile touches his lips. His soldiers point out the targets, reminding him that the emperor wants them alive, but he ignores that order, charges forward, tells his men to follow, and vows to defeat them all. The prince's followers start screaming for the warriors to stop and block the way, leaving the blonde man confused because his enemies aren't even getting ready to fight, which feels very strange. Tucked safely among the trees, the two girls tell the warriors to step back and clear the path so nobody gets hurt. The prince walks calmly and asks if the warriors have gone mad, since they can't even recognize his face. As the cloaked men draw near, the mag feels a chill of confusion, unable to tell if they are real people or something strange. With a hood pulled low to hide her face, the girl tells His Highness that the person standing before him is the famous Captain Lloyd. But the man is so impatient that he shouts angrily at the hooded figures. As peace returns, the girl steps forward to talk to the knight, catching him off guard since he didn't expect to see her. She introduces herself as the eldest daughter of Count Cylon, a claim that leaves the knight heartbroken because he knows it isn't true. The redhead introduces herself, saying she's from the Research Institute and that it's been ages since she last saw Lloyd. But the warrior remembers clearly and sees that she is the magic teacher for the third prince. At last, she calls him the third beggar as his hood slowly slips down. As the knight peers closer, he sees the prince's eyes have turned cold and calm, like a still lake. He stands there completely baffled, wondering if he's ever seen a third hair look quite like that before. Marcus grinned as he introduced himself and said it was great to see the third prince again. Izumi says he's glad the Imperial Guardian Dragon saved His Highness, keeping him safe and sound. But deep down inside, he's secretly angry at the boy, convinced the Imperial Guardian never helped him at all. The man also notices that the prince's voice sounds totally different, like it changed completely in just a moment. He looks like a stranger now, and he worries something dangerous might be changing him. When the blonde woman suggests sending his knights to escort the prince back to the Imperial Palace, the boy shakes his head and says he has a different goal in mind. He speaks nervously, scared of what the man will do, and admits he doesn't want to go back to the Imperial Castle. The knight stood stunned after waiting so many days for just that one mission. He tells the knight to tell his guards to step back because they aren't needed anymore. With nothing to stop him and no fear in his voice, he declares that he's heading straight for the capital. The magistrate looks at the prince and wonders if he's lost his mind, asking him if he really understands the strange words coming out of his mouth. He fumes inside, baffled by why a prince of the empire would dare walk into the enemy's camp. Seeing the protagonist reach into his clothes, he wonders what terrible thing might be happening if he doesn't move out of the way. The boy's plan is finally moving forward, and he yells that he will cut down the warrior if he doesn't move, which is both an order and a warning from the great prince. The man is surprised to hear that line because he knows the pig isn't dangerous, but he is still shocked by its boldness. And in truth, this was exactly the chance he had been waiting for, a fight to free his daughter from the hare's grip. After mulling it over for a long time, he finally draws his blades, ready to end the life of the one he hated most. Suddenly, a sharp pain shoots through his shoulder, stealing his focus and leaving him distracted just as the battle rages on. Right then, the boy asks Marcus what's wrong, but Marcus just says he's fine and still wants to fight. His anger was so intense it nearly tore his shoulder right out of its socket. He begins to think this whole thing is just a joke and decides he doesn't have time to deal with the prince's silliness, but as the joke feels more and more real, the knight starts wondering if the prince has suddenly gone crazy. He glows with pride and looks dangerous, shouting that he is a swordmaster and only 3 people in the world hold that title. But the boy already knew this and was waiting for the man's stubborn refusal to move, so everything went exactly as planned, and then he teased him by asking how His Highness intended to hurt him, all while claiming he was eager to see his fighting tricks. This game has a spot for everyone, and even when things seem impossible, a secret way out is always there. Yet the man is so sure of his own power that he honestly claims he could beat the air using only a tiny weak branch. He jokes with no fear that Lloyd could knock him out with a toothpick, not even a branch, and makes everyone laugh. But he quickly jumps in to ask if that's really what's going to happen and how the game works. He admits he knows the man hasn't used his right arm in a long while. He sneers at the man's sore shoulder and dares him to win even when things aren't in his favor. The man is proud of what he can do, and even with a bad arm, he says he's still alone and that won't change. This knight stands tall, a true master of the blade who knows no fear because he has reached the very top of his skill. But winning. As he draws near, he leans in to whisper that he knows exactly what his rival hopes to gain by winning. The blonde girl was left speechless and tried to calm things down by claiming His Highness was just talking nonsense. Then the prince asks the soldier how long he plans to worry about his grown son and if that isn't just a little shameful. When the boy speaks, the soldier snaps his sword out instantly, ready for a fight he thinks will be quick and easy. Snarling that the boy was a foolish, talkative brat, he finally drew his sword, ready to end the fight. He says a dad needs to know when to respect his son's choices and let him live his own life. Furious that his anger had been exactly what the prince wanted, he declares that the plan worked perfectly and that he's now ready to send the prince to the afterlife. With his sword raised, the prince sneers that since the man has been insulted and drawn his blade, it is finally time to fight. He then shouts out Gillison, the third prince of the Baljic Empire, to a formal duel that the kingdom's laws say he must accept. Thinking about the plan, the prince agrees right away because he already knows exactly what to do next. He tells his men to stay out of his official duel from now on. Confident in his skill, he jokes that even a 9-star swordsman couldn't beat him, but he soon realizes that things are rarely what they seem. Truth is, everything is unfolding exactly as intended, and the man is walking right into a deadly duel he can't possibly win. Again, a system alert pops up with a surprise mission. A noble duel has started, so the blonde hero accepts it and declares he's ready to keep fighting. Even though his opponent is one of the greatest swordsmen, the MC refuses to be seen as just a forgotten prince. He knows his skills are top-notch, acting like a true gaming pro even as the prince, so the mission is clear. Take down your opponent, Alon Lloyd, and claim victory. Days before the boy reached the portal to Orax, he was yelling that he would beat Marcos Lloyd. The warrior sobbed while the redhead stared on, worn out and tense as everything went wrong. People believed he was falling ill and losing his mind, so they brought him food, care, and even suggested he take a rest. Frustrated, the witch begged to go home and tell her master he was losing his mind. As they cooked, the followers of the vengeance god thought this might be their last meal because the battle ahead was so deadly. But the boy already had a plan, so he shouted to everyone before anyone could act on impulse, insisting he knew exactly what he was doing. The captain's daughter looked worried and said that none of their usual tricks would work because the man was too skilled and clever for the job. Luckily, the hero knew the pig could only eat, gamble, and place bets. His condition was so bad that he couldn't even beat 9 beginners in the world of GFW. He knew deep down that daring to claim he could beat a level 9 warrior was completely crazy. He would have laughed hard if he were on the other side, but hearing such nonsense from an NPC made the redhead think the man must be losing his mind, so he calmly listened to the plan to decide whether to leave or follow him all the way to the end. A rush of excitement because his teacher was the only one who still believed he could think for himself. Feeling braver now, he spoke his mind, and after thanking her, the little witch started sharing her big plan. She didn't explain the details, but she simply said she'd bet on a fight with the Empire's strongest warrior and she'd win. The two were stunned, unable to believe the plan could work, but the boy, unaware of their shock, insisted it was simple enough to pull off. Furious, the sorceress slapped her disciple and declared that fighting Lloyd was a ridiculous idea. He laughed, saying any dog walking by would giggle at his words even as he got hit, and insisted that the challenge team deserves to set the rules for their noble fight. That fact about imperial law finally made the two girls feel a little less scared. The clever boy declared he would make the rules of the fight work in his favor so he could win. It was made clear that GFW isn't just about raw power, because with the right matches you can win any fight no matter the level, a trick the protagonist had used many times before when he was still a pro. He beat hundreds of foes with clever plans and just a little strength, proving that traps and mind games work just as well as hitting them directly, and he never forgot the day a tiny water slime knocked him out. Once he smashed his screen in anger because losing to such a weak enemy felt incredibly shameful. The warrior agreed to the duel under whatever rules he set. They simply asked him what those rules would be. In the end, the captain would never agree to a duel with such unfair rules, not even if they were forced to accept them. The warrior declared he wouldn't fight in a rigged duel since his honor as a knight was at stake. The boy, a skilled and confident gambler, said he had 3 rules to set first. First, there would be no magic, just two swords clashing in a fight. Second, if either girl's sword touched the ground, the other one instantly. And third, they had to fight without armor, leaving the two shocked girls stunned by these rules. But right after, they started doubting the boy's plan, claiming those rules wouldn't help him at all. Feeling fed up and angry, the sorceress snapped a vine into life and made her student spin around for a good hard lesson. She didn't realize that the punishment actually helped him by restoring his strength and skills. The warrior first said that stopping magic might hold the captain back, but then changed his mind, knowing the man's skill went far deeper than just magic. With ropes binding him from head to toe, the boy felt humiliated as the redhead sneered and asked if he truly thought he could knock the captain's sword out of his hand. The knight refused the last rule of fighting without armor, warning that it would endanger the prince's safety. He was so sure of himself that he even calmed everyone by telling them the magistrate wouldn't send him to the afterlife. If he did that, he'd lose all his good name forever and probably make a wild choice just because he was so angry. Even so, the prince's friend kept worrying about his safety. Crying, the boy argued that while swords have no eyes and the future is unpredictable, he chose to see the situation from a different angle. He asked everyone to imagine they were master swordsmen already at the peak of their skill before watching the scene. Suddenly, a nervous dog stepped forward to challenge them, and they wondered how they would feel about facing such a strange fight. The knight chuckled, thinking it was silly, but had no idea how deeply the story was already pulling the boy in, who eagerly asked if he would win or just show off his tricks. But the knight answered quickly, promising he would never do such a thing to keep his honor. In the end, swordsmen aren't cold-blooded killers, and they are taught to never make their enemy look weak. The redhead moved closer to warn that an accident could still happen, but the MC shook his head and assured her that facing a rank 9 warrior made any danger impossible. Even though he wasn't very skilled, he fought hard just to avoid losing by accident because he didn't want anyone, especially Carl, to worry. That's why he knew the Marcos couldn't hurt him with his sword, because a swordsman who holds back to avoid disappointing someone he loves will never fight with full intention. The boy insisted that fighting without armor or magic would make the battle easier and that he would fight carefully to stay safe. So after hearing him out, the companions finally calmed down. They finally understood everything and knew the fight ahead would be thrilling. The boy laughed, looking totally relaxed, and joked that no matter how much Lloyd wanted to beat him, he wouldn't need armor to defend himself. They actually planned to leave the opponent in pieces, a shocking move that left his friends staring in silence. He quickly asked why he wanted to hurt the Empire's warrior so badly. The boy thought hard and then told himself that the man was just an annoying roadblock standing in his way to the future. But by speaking it aloud, he hints at a secret connection between them and shows that he can't tell the truth just yet. His friend gets curious but doesn't quite get what he meant. The witch shows up, curious and asking if something secret happened between them, but the boy just smiles, dodges her question, and says it's time to eat. Everyone huddles tight around the warm campfire as the MC leans forward to share something he wants them to hear very clearly. He knows every character in the game and says the knight looks strong and perfect, but he actually has a huge weakness. But the crowd just laughs at the captain, mocking him for having any weakness at all, while it's truly a shame that his magic and sword skills don't work well together. As they gazed at the servant, they mentioned that mixing magic with swordplay was still a rough, unpolished idea. Compared to other masters who have that talent far more refined, this man does not, but when the protagonist interrupts to say he's not talking about signs of greatness, everyone is left confused and wondering what the boy actually means. The knight's right shoulder is badly hurt and nearly dead, which makes winning the duel much easier. Though this leaves the